Do you hear the cry of the warrior? Here's how to make the uniform of a Klingon! Kapla! So here's how I made my Klingon costume. I'll start at the bottom and work my way up. First thing are the boots. These are just a pair of black knee-high boots. You can get them at the mall or you can find them online. Get the cheapest ones you can find. I put this little Klingon toe claw thing on here, and I made these out of modeling clay and then let them dry and painted them and glued them on. Then you need just a gray pair of pants, and they look better if they're a little bit tight on you. To make the body armor, I used a black long sleeve shirt and then got a couple square yards of gray vinyl that you can get at a fabric store and cut them into long strips and then attach them next to each other to give that plated armor kind of look. And you do that on the back and also on the front. This is the shoulder armor that fits over top of your head like this, and it's made from a piece of black cloth that I cut to the right shape and size, and then these are more vinyl strips that I attached on here. And for the edges you can use more vinyl. I just used duct tape and then painted it to the right color. And the spine armor on the back that hangs down your back, I made this from a couple of foam rubber placemats that I just traced out the shapes and cut them all out, and then ran a strip of tape down the inside with glue underneath it to glue them all together, and then it gives that nice articulated kind of look to it. And then this part hangs down your back while you're wearing the shoulder armor. Then you're going to need a belt, and this is just a plain old ordinary leather belt. The only modification I made was to buy a little Klingon symbol online and glue that onto the buckle, just so it will look a little bit better. On the upper part of the uniform there's a gray tube kind of thing that goes right underneath your shoulders, and what I used to make that was just a piece of caulking tube, or some people call it backer rod. It's just a foam rubber kind of stuff that you can get in a Lowe's or a Home Depot. They use it to plug up cracks in doors and walls where you're putting spackle on them, so you should be able to find it at any hardware store. And I cut a little buckle out of some craft foam and painted it, put Velcro on the back so that I can open and close it, and that's how I put it on. Next thing are the gloves. These are gloves from a Darth Vader costume that I got online. You can also use motorcycle gloves, or if you can find work gloves, they have the long gauntlet sleeve at the back. You can use those too. What you want to do is cut the fingers off, and then I made little claws out of modeling clay and left those dry and glued them on the back. And then these are Klingon letters. I cut these out of craft foam and then glued them on. That works pretty well. If you don't want to do that, you can also paint them on. That'll work too. If you want a sash for your uniform, I made this out of a strip of vinyl that I found in a fabric store because I liked the pattern that it had to it. It was originally brown when I got it, so I painted it silver. And then I found this Klingon communicator thing online and thought that looked pretty good, so I glued that on the front. The last thing you're going to need is a disruptor pistol, and the best way to get one of those is to make it yourself. So this is what I came up with, and I used a couple different things to make this. This part here is from a water pistol. I just cut the back part off, cut the front part off. This is the cap from a lawn sprinkler that I glued onto there. This is the top part of a spray bottle that I took off, painted, and glued on top. This little part here, I made that from craft foam. I just cut it out to the right shape, glued it all together, and put it on there. These tubes are just wooden dowels that I cut to the right length and painted silver. And the end piece is made from a little short section of PVC pipe with a piece of foam craft glued over top of it, and then another little foamy piece glued on top there to make the sight. So that's how I made my disruptor pistol. And the last thing you're going to need is a holster for your disruptor pistol, and this is just made from a sheet of foam craft that I folded into and cut into the right shape and then glued all the way down the edge to hold it together. The hardest part for the Klingon costume is going to be the headpiece. Now you can buy them online, but you can only get certain styles, so you can't customize it to something that you want for yourself, and the chances are it's not going to fit you very well either. So the best thing to do is to make one yourself. To make your Klingon headpiece, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a styrofoam head to model it on. You might be able to find this in a wig store or maybe a costume supply shop, but I got mine online. That's probably going to be your best bet. You're going to need some liquid latex. You're probably also going to have to get that online, although you might be able to find it in a costume shop or a really well supplied craft store might have it. You're going to need a wig. You don't need an expensive one from a wig shop, just any Halloween costume kind of long-haired wig will do the job pretty good. And then you're going to need some modeling clay called Sculpey, and you can find that in pretty much any craft store will have that. So I didn't shoot any film of how I made everything, but I shot some pictures, so I'll go ahead and show you those and explain the process. The first thing you're going to do is take your styrofoam head and cover it with a very thin layer of Sculpey, and then you're going to mold the ridge pieces that you're going to want on your finished headpiece. After you molded your ridge pieces, you're going to cover the entire headpiece area with about 10 layers of liquid latex, and make sure that you allow each layer to dry completely before you put the next one on. It takes a couple of hours for it to dry. Then for your last coat of latex, you're going to find some liquid makeup that matches you and mix that into the latex before you put it on. That way you don't have to wear makeup to match the headpiece. You can go ahead and match the headpiece to you. And the last thing you're going to do is attach the wig and make some eyebrows. I made the eyebrows out of very short pieces that I cut off the wig. I just put some liquid latex on the mask where I wanted the eyebrows to go and then press those on there until the latex dried. The latex is a really good adhesive all by itself. And you do the same thing with the wig. You just put some liquid latex everywhere where you want the wig to be, and then press it on there, hold it for a few seconds until it sets, and then let it dry. Once everything is done, what you're going to have is a headpiece that you can peel off, put on your head, and then put back onto your styrofoam head to store it so it doesn't get damaged. And this is the finished Klingon warrior costume. Kiklumech